In the endless white expanse, Fayette confronts what appears to be her loving parents, only for their faces to twist into nightmarish creatures. Welcome to the Alpha's Love channel. If you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Chapter 40, in which I choke. There is a new craze that has overtaken me. A new desperation. No longer is the effort to finalize the king's wishes and do as he commands. Now it is different. Now I am working, with little sleep and food, for a new reason, a new purpose. To save them. Jasmine. Her face haunts me, the thin scratches on her arms, the dirt and grime upon her hair and features. Her screams. I cry sometimes while I work, alone in that room. I have to make sure no tears spill onto the mixtures, so they don't interfere with the solution. I don't know how much time goes by. Judging by the meals that are brought, slide through an opening in the door, I would say almost a week now. I'm filthy. No shower in a week. But the thought only enters my mind once, when I happen to catch my reflection in one of the glasses. My eyes are what make me shudder. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Desperate. Some small part of them match the unknown man. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He surely was looking for me. I knew he was. I felt the bond, however small, pulsing inside me. It was an assurance I needed within me. An assurance that Alto was alive. Therefore I had to keep going. Among all the glass and instruments, the thought entered my head more than once of what the nameless man would do if he happened to walk in one day and find me there, laying upon the floor with a shard of glass in my hand and my wrist flowing red. But then the image of Jasmine's face would resurface, and I knew I had lost. The week, or what I thought to be a week, went by, before the nameless man arrived again. The fact that he remained without name to me created even more fear inside. Because I had nothing to place to his face. He was just evil. That was all I could put in as. A mystery that haunted me. A shadow that lurked. Not a human. Not a wolf. No name could describe him. Hello, little Fayette. I don't say a word as he drags in a man. He seems dazed, like he's been knocked out and is still coming to. I thought we could do a little experiment. I shudder at his words. Let's see what progress you've made. It's not ready. He TSKS at me. I know that, little Fayette. The problem is though, I can't have you using yourself as the tester like last time. I freeze and try desperately to regain my breath as I take in the fact that he knows that. He knows everything. So, he throws the man forward, letting him fall to my feet. I don't move as I look down at the man. Problem, little Fayette. Should I bring another wolf for you to test? One who is much more pretty. I suck in a deep breath at his words. With shaking hands I reach and grab a test tube that had been resting upon the rack. Several seconds later, a needle is filled with the clear substance. The nicome had been used this time. It would work. This man would be okay. The unanswered question lingers there as the nameless man leans against the wall, eyes full of small delight and happiness. Human turned wolf, but not for long. I slowly raise the man's arm but stop when his hand weakly grips me. Please. His soft moan has me trembling. Go on, little Fayette. I swallow, tears threatening to spill from my eyes. But I do as the nameless man says. What horrible words to say. I slowly slide the clear liquid in, holding my breath as I wait. And then the man starts screaming. His body jerks, arms and legs twisting and seizing uncontrollably as foam surfaces to his mouth. He's choking. I fall to the floor, pulling his body to the side, trying to help him. But it's too late. I drop my hands and scream. Black blurs my vision as the reality hits me of what I've done. Hands grip my shoulders, throwing me back into the chair as the nameless man's. I'll be back in a week with a different man. Try again, little Fayette. Or the count rises to 2. And then he leaves. No, wait. But he's gone. I scream again because what the nameless man has too cruel for my own words. He's left the body in the room with me. I start gagging. I can smell him. I know logically, there is no smell of decay or blood so fast, but my mind seizes my senses in the moment, overloading them. I throw up whatever food is in me as I cry in the corner of the room, as far away from the man as I can. Please? But no one hears me. Alto, please. But no one hears me. Chapter 41, in which I see red. Hello, darkness. My old friend. I have to talk to you again. Dancing. Music. Laughter. His touch. Enthusiasm. It has what holds me at bay as I work. Alto, alto, alto. I hold on to his memory. Of that night when we first met. Of the nights when we ate in the gardens. When his words of poetry spoke to me. How did it become like this? How did the world end up with such darkness, twisting our souls so violently? The week passed. Again, another body. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing clichés enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing clichés enthusiasm. Where are you? I've seen wolves go crazy. But I never knew that you could go crazy from this. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing clichés enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing clichés enthusiasm. Where are you? Another body. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. It can't get worse. It can't get worse. What did Alto smell like again? I can't remember. I think back to our first kiss. I wish I had kissed him more. I wish I had held him more. I sit at the desk, watching the slow bubbles rise as the flask burns. I suddenly feel a pain in my chest. Bending over, I cough and cough, trying to regain my breath. It must be the fumes. I've inhaled so much now. Weeks of being trapped in this room, closed and having the vapors rise to the ceiling. It had made me sick this past week. A different sick, not from the bodies in the corner. I sigh as I regain my breath, but then it's lost again as I take in my hands. Take in the red substance that is on it. I feel my heart stop and stutter. Drop and grow heavier all at once as I look at the blood that is poured onto my hand. No, no. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing clichés enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nolben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing clichés enthusiasm. Where are you? It can't get worse than this. Chapter 42, in which I cure. Little Fayette. The nameless man walks in, a smile on his face that soon disappears as he takes me in. What's wrong? I must really look bad if even my captor is concerned. I'm sick. He laughs. I know that. I shake my head. You seem to know all about me, so you must know why I made Dex Bane in the first place. His face growing hard as he takes in my words. What do you mean? It's my turn to smile now as I lean back in my chair. The power of knowledge. Do you know why I made Dex Bane? Your father was a lunatic. But why? His brown eyes evaluate me. Such bland color. I've seen brown eyes that were beautiful. Beautiful because the person made them so. But this man, his eyes were just brown. Like mud. Like dirt. Nothing extraordinary stuck out about them. Some would be sad about this fact. I have a feeling, though, that it was the reason why he was so happy. Because it allowed him to become like shadows. His life mate died. I nod. He steps closer. What do you mean, when you say you're sick? I open my hand and reveal the red I didn't bother to wipe away. I'm sick. He grabs it and growls. This can't be happening. I feel a small thrill at his words. This wasn't going according to his plan. His beautiful plan that he had taken years to accomplish and perfect. Years of effort and work. Going down the drain now because of a few red drops. It will happen fast. Maybe a month from now. His eyes flash up at me. Those boring brown eyes now. I shake my head. I can't cure this, and he laughs. I don't care if you die, little Fayette. Just a pawn. Remember. But you care. He grins then. About your little friends. Oh, Jasmine. Yasmin. I sigh as I realize he was right. You're already gone. But you can still save your friends. I nod. So now I was under even more of a deadline. Tomorrow I'll bring another. It hasn't been a week. Oh well. I feel raw and pure hatred for this man. I want to lash out. Hit him. To my surprise, claws, painfully and slowly form upon my hand. He laughs. Finally finding your teeth, little Fayette. Too bad you'll lose them soon. And with those departing words he leaves. But true to his statement, the next day he brings another mail for me. They all make the same plea as they beg me not to do it. I grit my teeth and get on with it. The faster the better. No need to prolong the suffering. This time, though, the begging continued as the man laid crying on the floor. The nameless man stepped forward. Gerald, what do you feel? I'm shaking as he raises his head. I feel weak. He moans his despair, and that is when I realize the truth. Very good, Gerald. Before I can react, the nameless man is on him. His hands around his neck as he twists it out of place. I fall back and out of my chair, screaming as I push myself away. Why, he laughs at my expression. Who knows? I cry as he lifts the body and throws it in the corner with the others. The smell is something I've become used to, but it's something no one should become used to. Now your job is different, little Fayette. I look up with tear-stained eyes as he grins down at me. Write down how you did it, and make as much as you can before you leave me for good. Chapter 43, in which I see I can't move. My head is laid on the table, resting there because I know it's near. I've watched this with Mother. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Melbourne, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. It's been so long since I've thought of her, that now I know what she went through. The pain. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Melbourne, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Oh, Mother. I close my eyes and think of Alto. I wish I could see him. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Melbourne, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Melbourne, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Where are you? I hear his voice, calling and crying for me. Fear. Deep. Yet full of pain, full of sorrow. My poor Alto, leaving him so soon. Fear. I open my eyes and see him standing there. One of the side effects to the disease had been hallucinations, affecting the mind to trick it into seeing what it wanted. Sometimes Mother would have conversations with Father, while I stared blankly on, watching as she talked to an empty space. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Melbourne, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. I cry the word out, tears coming now. Maybe the disease had been a blessing, because I knew from the beginning that I was going to die here. But at least now I could see him. I can feel his hands on me. The heat has me smiling, gasping. How wonderful. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the end. I'm feeling him now. More than ever. Close to me. Fayette, please. Crying. My alto was crying. I frowned at that. I wanted my dream alto to be happy. But I would take whatever I could get at this point. Oh my gosh. Wait. Was that Lizzie? I try sitting up, but it's too much for me. A hallucination. It will pass soon. Instead, I take in the voices of my loved ones as they fill the room. The bodies. I can't believe. Oh my gosh, Fayette. She needs to get out of here. Now my hallucinations were rescuing me. I smile at the thought. An unfamiliar male voice fills my ears. Where's Jasmine? Down here. Come on. Yasmin. I heard Yasmin. Then I feel that burning sensation on my skin as the hallucin of alto reaches and grabs me. My Fayette. He's sobbing as he carries me. I feel my body, hanging limp and unsupported. Maybe I had fallen from the table. Maybe I was now hanging on the chair, dangling. But that heat was still there, heat from alto, as he continued to carry and whisper my Fayette, my sunshine. Fayette, my love. Hold on. Hold on. Chapter 44, in which I wake. I wake up screaming. Hands grab me, pinning me down, making me fight against the attacker. The nameless man. Back with another. I scream it for him to hear. For him to realize that I had no more strength in me to stick a needle in another victim. No, I'm sobbing now as the hands soften in their hold on me. To our agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilbert. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Don't bring another. Please. Another sobbing reaches my ear. Oh, the hallucinations. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilbert. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. Fayette. You're here. You're here. I'm here. You're not at that place anymore. I sigh as my eyes spin wildly around, trying desperately to seek the source of the voice. Then I see him. I gasp. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilbert. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. I laugh then. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilbert. Heartfelt thanks for your unfading patience, enthusiasm. He is staring at me in shock as I trace his face. Alto, I'm so happy to see you again. He's shaking. I frown and watch as a tear falls from his face. Don't cry, Alto. It's not real. He shakes his head and leans closer, pressing his forehead to the bed. The bed. I still as I take in my surroundings. Where are we, Alto? It's a whisper of fear. What new torture had the nameless man created for me? The palace. Breen Palace, Fayette. Your home. I shake my head. Not possible. Alto grabs my hand, the sensation real and warm. I gasp at the contact. It's real, Fayette. I stare Alto. It takes me a second to register his words, but then I'm coughing. Fayette. I cough and cough, my lungs and throat burning as I try desperately to stop the sound. But I can't. And Alto soon sees the red that is splattered on my hands. What is this? He's clinging to my skin, his eyes showing a new window of horror as I say, I'm sick. His eyes close as he takes in a deep breath. With what? I shrug. What my mother was sick with. A strangled cry leaves Alto as he opens his eyes. Fresh tears surfacing there. He knew my mother's ending. Don't cry, Alto. I reach up and feel his face again. So real. It felt so real. It's not real. Chapter 45, in which the darkness shows I resurface from my haze. The events all came back to me. Slowly. Clearly. I turned to the side to confirm what I had seen and heard. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeline Nilbert. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Alto's at there, watching me. It's A deep sigh of relief. And nods. Yes, you saved me. He leans forward and grabs my hand, pressing them to the skin of his face. I didn't. He cries at his words. I cling to his hands as he bows his head. I didn't get to you in time. I start to shake as I take in his meaning. You did. You saved me. A month. He growls out the word. A month. Of tracking, searching, hunting. It shouldn't have taken that long. It shouldn't have. His sobs cut off his words as reaches and painfully clings to his chest. When I showed up at the academy, and you weren't there, you and Jasmine, both of you gone. Me and Jasmine. I pause and look up Alto. What happened to Yasmin? They didn't take her. He gives a humorless laugh at his words. The first mistake. Jasmine's partner, Derek, when he found out, a dark look crosses Alto's eyes. Derek doesn't care about Jasmine. Alto laughs at that. We both tore the world apart, looking for you two. I shudder at his words. And you found us. Jasmine was in a cell. For the most part she was left alone. She said she was only taken out once. Alto's eyes flashed to me. To use to threaten you. He pauses suddenly. I'm sorry, Fayette. We don't have to talk about this now. Another time. When the wound isn't fresh. No. He hesitates. His dark eyes looking at me. I miss those dark eyes. That darkness that evoked him. Not something to fear. But instead a thing to provide warmth. Comfort. I need to know. He hesitates before nodding. My father told me what he did. How he commanded you. We both were played Fayette. Right into his trap. Alto pauses as I stare up at him with desperate eyes. What is his name? He shakes his head. No one knows. I don't think he has one. The bleakness of it hits me. No name. There was no name for the devil. The face would forever remain just that within my mind, a face. Dead. I can't process it. I can't absorb the fact that my captor is no more. He still would forever remain nameless, and forever remain alive within my mind. We got some information out of him. He knew the end was there for him. So he told us what he wanted. He wanted us to know the brilliance of his plan. And he wanted us to know what he did to you. Alto's voice catches as he hangs in head in silent horror. Thea, his voice cracks. I reached out and touched his hair. He was real. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. We stayed in silence. I couldn't even begin to describe to him my horror of what I had gone through. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He raises his head. Do you remember when I asked you that question months ago? What would you do if I died? Alto shuddered as he took in my question. Please don't, Fayette. His voice came out as a soft growl. You can't hunt anyone down anymore, Alto. My body is killing me. He looks up, his dark eyes flashing gold as he struggles to maintain control of himself. Do you know what that man told me? I shake my head, weary at the sudden change in topic. He said he sent human hybrids, men who would transform to wolves, to kill me when I was a pup. I can't breath as new information sinks in. He wanted to test them, to see how powerful they were, and my mother defended me, and died. I stare at Alto, fresh pain surfacing in my chest. Our love story, how dark it had become. I kill the people I love. I jerk at that. No, Alto. I reach for him, but he whimpers. The sound is me stopping to take in a gasp of air. It sounded like a dying animal. It sounded like a dying wolf. Fayette, I've lived in a world where I thought you were dead. I lived in that horror for a month. His eyes flash up to me as he slowly crawls to my side, climbing onto the bed with me as he holds me there, taking in my scent, my warmth, my presence. Don't ask me to live a lifetime like that without you. Chapter 46, in which it nears rest. Rest for what I did not know. I was dying anyway, from one horror to the next. My body slowly claiming me as I shut down, one by one. I sighed when the king came in. The queen had already been in, sobbing and holding me. I'm so glad you're back, my dear. I held her tightly, taking in her pain with mine. Now stood the king. Alto wouldn't leave my side, but this was a rare moment, when he had to step out to take care of matters only he could attend to. Fayette. I nod, acknowledging his presence. He sits down with a heavy sigh. I raise my eyebrow at his words. I'm sorry, but thank you. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilban. Heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He nods. Alto didn't think it important in the moment of your rescue, but Gavin had the good sense to grab it and your notes. I know you would approve. You risked your life after all to make it. I could have been angry. I could have yelled and told the king it was because of him that I even made those notes in the first place. Trapped in my mind with my secrets. But I didn't. The truth was I was too tired. And it was too late. The cure was made. There was no use in yelling now. Are you using it? He nods. With the leader gone, the system is slowly falling apart. Another will come though, wanting to claim the power, but at least this time we know how to cut off the head. I reflect on the reference. It somehow suited the situation. We sit in silence for several seconds before the king clears his throat. I knew you would be his ruin. I smile down at him. Yes, he won't will if you're gone. I thought that's what you wanted. The king laughs. What do I know of what I want? When you first came here, I thought you would change him and make him be the ruler he needed to be, and I feared it. Then I thought you would use him for power. Then I thought that before you used him, I would use you. Now you'll be gone before you can even go through your mating ceremony. The truth of his words hit me. You thought a lot about me then. Every angle has to be evaluated. Did you fear me? He smiles at that. I feared what your mind could do. You had already cured. But who knew when you would create destruction instead? I shrug at that. I guess we'll never know what kind of queen I would have been now. And I guess I'll never know what kind of king my son would have become. We sit in silence again before the door opens, revealing the topic of our conversation. The king rises and gives me a small nod. Until next time, Fayette. I smile at the hidden meaning behind his eyes. If there is a next time. Alto watches as his father leaves before he crawls into the bed with me, wrapping his arms protectively around me. How is Jasmine? Alto rolls his eyes, baffled that Derek won't leave her side. I grin at that. He did go away to South America for a year, ignoring her. Alto smiles down at me. The wolf told me he did that because he had to put distance away from him and her. Or else he would claim her on the spot. I gasp at his words. You can't be serious. My toes curl at the thought. I can understand. Alto leans his head down, nuzzling the curve of my neck. So much things we still had to do. So many experiences we still had left. We had no more time. And Lizzie. I was sad that Lizzie and Jane had not visited as often as I thought. They came during the first few days, wrapping around me and crying their pain with me as we held each other. I had only seen them a handful of times since. Lizzie blames herself for the fact that we didn't find you sooner. Alto's tone turns dark as a low growl vibrates down his chest. I reach for his hand and lace our fingers together. He sighs as he takes in the contact. I feel his breath wash over the top of my head as he softly kisses my hair, my sunshine. I smile at his words. Just in this moment, I lay back, resting against his warmth. Just in this moment would I forget those red stains on my hand, and the weight of the world as it rested upon our shoulders. Chapter 47, in which I leave silence. No, not silence. There was silence, but it was broken by my breathing, my labored, gasping breathing. Alto hung his head, holding my hand as he watched me. Maybe this was it. It scared me. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave him. I still wanted to kiss him more. I still wanted to hold him. I wanted to love him, marry him, have children, grow old. This couldn't be it. We sat in silence. There was nothing really we could say. Do you want the others here? I felt a tear leave me at the sound of Alto's voice. Broken. I didn't even have the energy to nod or shake my head. He knew that. He sighed and climbed onto the bed. Just me. Please. Just let me be here. It sounds selfish. But I smiled up at him. I knew. My brave Alto. He had suffered so much. I would let him show his weakness only to me. My voice is harsh. Grating. It's whispered out, but I know he can hear it. I love you, Fayette. He leans forward and gently places a soft kiss to my mouth. I sighed at the contact. Bask in his warmth. I love you. I'm barely able to get it out. My eyes are heavy, so heavy. Heavy enough that I take in his face one last time before I close them. His breath hitches, stops, stutters. Fayette. I talk. I have no energy to move, but I feel the bed shake. Feel it shake as he cries. My poor, brave Alto cries. Fayette. Wetness. I feel wet drops on my face. I can't open my eyes though. So heavy. They were so heavy. My hearing fades out as I hear Alto's voice whisper over and over. No, no. No, no. Don't take my sunshine away. No, no. No. Chapter 48, in which it's clear. In French you don't really say, I miss you. You say, to me m'excuse, which is closer to, you are missing from me. I love that. You are missing from me. You are part of me. You are essentially by being. You are like a limb, or an organ. I cannot function without you. Clear. It's almost blinding as I raise a hand over my eyes and take in my surroundings. Nothing. Just an endless white. Fayette. I gasp and turn around. Standing, smiling at me. Mother and father. Then, Mom. She nods and smiles. Hello, my little son. I gasp at the nickname and look at my father. His smile for once whole. I couldn't remember the last time I saw him smile like that. I take a step closer, not daring to believe this is real. Mother reaches her hand out. Let's go, Fayette. I feel tears on my face as I step forward, extending my hand. Where are we going? She shakes her head. Doesn't matter. As long as we are together. I hesitate. Where though? She laughs and shakes her hand, urging me to grab onto it. Come on, Fayette. Take my hand. Let's go. You, me, your father, just like how you always dreamed of. Just like how you always wanted. I pause and look around at the endless white. Where's Alto? Father laughs. Who is Alto? I shake my head and smile. My life mate. I met my life mate. Just like you two. Father smiles and grabs Mother's hand, reaching out his own now with her as he steps forward. He's not here. It's just us, Fayette. I take a step closer, but something feels wrong. Not right. I frown at the sensation in my stomach and grip it tight in my hand. Don't do it. My head jerks around to take in the male standing before me. I gasp you. He smiles and stands to my side, crossing his arms as the glares down at my parents. Don't take their hand. I look and take a step back when I see the contorted features of my parents. Ignore him, Fayette. He wants to separate us. I look at the male. I would never forget his name. Gerald. I would never forget as I stuck the needle in his arm, the sound of his neck as it cracked. He shakes his head. It's your choice, Fayette. Why would you help me? He looks down and smiles at me. Because you saved me. I choke back my sob. I didn't save him. I killed him. I had been walking home one night, to my wife and son, when out of nowhere this man grabs me and sticks some formula in me. And then I became a monster. He smiles as he shrugs. You saved my soul. Let me return the favor. I take a step away from my parents. No, I don't feel right about this. Faya, my mother's eyes soon become red.丨Destiny, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. And that's when I realize, it's not my mother's eyes. Their features become twisted and evil, showing darkness as they morph into creatures of nightmares. Gerald steps forward in front of me. Don't touch her. They hiss and turn away, running into the vast white. Gerald turns around and smiles. I was waiting for you. I guess I can move on now. He turns and walks into the endless white, leaving me standing there shocked. At the last sec, and he turns, smiling as he waves and yells, "See you around, Fayette." I watch as his body slowly becomes smaller and smaller, until it's gone, and then I'm alone. Lost and confused on where I am and what to do, until I hear another voice. I'm glad he reached you in time. I turn to the source of the voice and feel my heart stop. I don't know this male, but at the same time, something inside me does. Something inside me registers that I should know him. He is tall and handsome, with dark hair and features, but that's not the only thing that catches my attention. What also catches my attention is the black uniform he wears, and the crown that rests upon his head. He smiles down at me as he walks closer. It's nice to finally meet you, Fayette. Who are you? I'm weary after seeing what I thought to be my parents morph into creatures of the night. The man smiles and bows, raising his head to look up to me as he says, Alexander Nolan, first Werewolf King. Hang in there. Chapter 49, in which I sleep Beth. The king smiles at me. The very first. I take a step back. Why are you here? The question should be, why are you here? I look around, taking in the white. I think about what he has said. Why am I here? And then it hits me. I died. I gasp out the words, shock and fear running through me. He nods. Those demons got here first. They disguise themselves as what you most desire, trying to lure you away to go with them so they can trap you in darkness. But luckily you had a friend. He smiles at that. I stare blankly up at him, unable to take this all in. If I'm dead, then Alto. My voice cracks as I try to regain my emotions. The king shakes his head sadly. Not yet, dear. Not yet. I shiver at his words. Why are you here? I repeat my first question. I'm the king. He sighs and sits down. I blink as I take in the stone steps that are suddenly there. Then I look around and realize where we are. The ballroom. The king seems happy with the idea. Why here? He pats the seat next to him, inviting me to join him. You tell me, it's what you thought of. I walk slowly over to him.丨Destiny, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Where Alto and I first met. How romantic. I take in the grand room. It was eerie, the silence and emptiness that invaded it. So you want to know why I'm here? I nod. He sighs and brushes his hair back with his hands. Well, how much of me have you heard about? I shake my head. You, Ray the first Werewolf King. The king laughs. History has long since covered up my story, waiting for him to explain. I was the first Werewolf King. In a land of fighting and turmoil, the wolves needed one ruler. It disgusted me how we would fight over a piece of dirt. I laughed at that. Pack territories were divided out in proportion to the amount of wolves that resided within that pack. It's a system that was crude but stopped a lot of bloodshed. I nodded. I knew of the early pack wars and how the Wolf King had stepped in. But well, nothing really lasts forever. You know, I found my life mate. His eyes lit up when he said the words. I grin. Yes, Alto and I had to follow some of the rules you set for life mates, but I'm cut off when I suddenly remember that we were not able to follow through with the mating ceremony. The king watches me a few seconds more before sigh. I know. I nod, avoiding his dark eyes. Eyes like Alto. He continues. I was beyond happy. A united kingdom. A peaceful land. A life mate. What wolf could ask for more? But I could tell the happiness was running out as his face darkened. One night I was assassinated. I gasped. I had never heard this in history, but the records show that you lived a long happy life with a prosperous rule. He laughs at that. Patience, Fayette. I hold back whatever I'm about to say as he continues. I died. I thought that was the end, but I meet a male. The wolf who is able to transform into a man. I gasp when I realize he's talking about the male from the story of how the werewolf was born. You met him. The king shrugs. In a dream, perhaps. But yet, he told me the truth of the werewolf. That we were never meant to be born. I stare at him, wide-eyed and shocked. But the story of the first werewolf is such a lovely one, is it not? The king laughs as he says, To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. What do you mean? The woman who fell in love with the wolf. That's nice enough. But the sons? The sons of the wolf went on to rape and pillage every tribe they could, power-hungry in their quest to conquer the other brother. And their father, he told me, with tears in his eyes, how he watched his sons fight to the death, each dying in the battle. How horrible. Yes, the king looks down on me then. But it showed the wolf that men and magic did not mix. That the power of the wolf could not be contained in humans, because in the end, it drove them to madness. Drove them to seek out more and more. My mind flashed to the nameless man. To his hunt for more power, but the race of werewolves had already been created. And the creatures learned to adapt to the power. And soon, slowly, the power faded and the magic grew less and less with each generation. However, the wolf told me this. He said I could live but at a price. I look up in time to see the concentrated look on the king's face as he stares off to the distance. He would remove the wolf from my soul, killing that part of me, and I would live. Live as a human. He looks down at me, and that, Fayette, is what I am offering to you now. I blink up at him in confusion. You can live. You can live in breath and be with Alto another day more. But it will cost you. Because if you give up your wolf, you also give up your bond. My bond with Alto. Does that mean I would no longer feel the heat on my skin? No longer feel him pulsing in my mind? No longer have his feelings and thoughts reside in me? I shake as the reality crushes into me. You chose to be human. The king smiles. Yes, I gasp then. Did you give my mother this choice? His face turns strange as he looks at me. Yes, I give all life mates this choice and she chose to leave me. He smiles sadly down at me. She could not imagine the mate bond without your father. She said she would rather die than not feel the tie between them. I shake as I realize what my mother had done. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. Was life always determined by choices? She had chosen to leave her child, leave me, and in the end, her mate. resulting in both of us essentially one day to lose our mind. I closed my eyes then because I knew. I knew from the past choices of my mother. I knew from watching my father become crazed. From bearing the burden, how selfish and cruel of her, to not fight for us. The king smiles as he sees I've already made my choice. It was nice meeting you, Fayette. I smile back up at him. Were you happy? He pauses and shakes his head. My life was hard, Fayette. It was difficult. I won't say it was easy. But I can say that where there was pain, there was also equal joy. I nod at his words and sit back, taking in the blank void of the ballroom. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. The king whispers, wrapping his arm around me in a comforting gesture. It will be like falling asleep. I smile at that. Goodbye, Fayette. Goodbye. Chapter 50, in which it's the sun 6 years after. The palace sat in silence, the sun just starting to loom over the horizon. However, there were some creatures that were already awake, already moving. The sounds of running feet could be heard, desperate in their attempt to get away as another, heavier set followed in pursuit. Get back here. The squeal laughter of the little boy rang within the hallways, lighting up the sleeping castle as they took in the sound. Finally the man bent down, catching the runaway as the boy screamed in delight when the hands lifted him in the air. Got you. The laughter was met with a stern voice as another man turned the corner. Really? So much noise so early in the day? The boy struggled in his attempt to get down as the man placed him back upon solid ground. Grandpa. The older man groaned. I dislike this nickname. It makes me sound old. The man laughed as, despite his complaints, the other man sighed and lifted the small boy. Come on, Eli. Let's go to breakfast. Maybe this time you can try calling Rena Grandma. The little boy cheered in delight, while the other man shook his head. I have to go wake her up. The older male sighed. Honestly, should be up already. What are we paying Lizzie and Jane to do? His grumbling continued as he mumbled to the little boy, the child's laughter echoing down the hall as they walked away. The man grinned before turning around and walking down into his destination. Opening the door softly, he grinned as he unceremoniously leapt onto the bed. The sleeping figure gasped, sitting up and clinging to her chest as she took in the gleaming dark eyes. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. She laughed and lightly hit his shaking frame as he chuckled in delight, pleased that he had caused such a reaction from her. Morning, my sunshine. She grinned at him, her blonde hair falling down her frame. Good morning. A predatory gleam reached his eyes as he took in her disheveled figure. Alto, what are you? No. She laughed as he crawled on top her, bending his head down to have better access to her neck. She gasped, arching her back as he smiled against her. He bent down, his lips capturing hers as she moaned softly underneath. Her hands reached lower, eagerly trying to undo his pounce. Alto laughed at her actions. I've ruined you. Pulling back to take in her flushed face and eager eyes. Do you remember when just the simplest touch made you blush? To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. His eyes not leaving hers as she laughed at the memories. I think this is acceptable behavior between husband and wife, the woman said, smiling up at Alto. He growled again at the words. Slowly he pulled back the edge of her shirt to reveal the fresh mark upon her shoulder. Claimed again during the night. He smiled as he remembered. Who knew a human could take a mate mark? She smiled at his words. It was something he always said, always marveled at, when he took in her skin. Unlucky I can. To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Nilben, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm. He quickly, in one fluid motion, pulled off his shirt, letting her take in the glory of his skin. Yes, she licked her lips, the action causing him to pull her bottom lip down with his thumb. It was still there, mate bond or not, the heat, the desire. It still coursed D and ran through them. It made Alton smile at the thought. It had not been the bond after all that made him love her. It was her, all her. She was the one that made his demons go to rest. She was the one that pushed past his dark clouds. The sunshine he needed upon his grey days, as he was her own son. When the memories of the past became too much for her, he was the one who could soothe away her pain. Why, he asked, bending down so he could lick and suck at the very mark in question. She gasped and arched her back, her hands going to his hair as she whispered, "Because it shows that I am yours. You don't need a mark to prove that." "No," she laughed, "but I like the physical reminder." He growled then, the sound sending shivers down her as he roughly grabbed her hips and looked into her blue eyes. "How about another physical reminder?" Fayette laughed at the question. "Some poet you are." "Fayette, my son," he wrapped himself securely around his mate, knowing he would never let go of the creature that escaped death, just to come back to him. "Consume me with your love, until I am nothing more but a heap of ashes, devoted to you." She smiled from his words. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." PRDANDASHEXEONUSCHAPTER August. The man laid with his eyes open, staring at a girl within his arms. August. The woman softly walked up to the scene, her eyes tearing up as she took in the sight. "To my agent extraordinaire, Madeleine Noble, heartfelt thanks for your unfailing patience, enthusiasm." The doctors are here. They have to look at her. They have to declare her. She wasn't able to finish the sentence as the words choked within her throat. Silence hung within the air. The man still did not move. Another set of footsteps could be heard, until the low moan of a woman reached the man's ears. A set of hands, no, a set of hands, made its way into his view as two girls fell onto their knees, grabbing the hand of the still form. Sobs echoed around the room, yet the man remained silent. Then another appeared, and another, until the room was filled, not only with people, but with the soft cries of moans of pain as the news spread around, until the man snapped from his silence out. The one word had the mass shivering as a darkness invaded their lungs. No one could move. No one could speak. Instead, the gleaming, dark golden eyes sparked out against them, power surfacing and choking each and every one as the monster rose from his stupor. Out the word was said, even more quietly than the first time, but it was still heard. "August, she's gone. Let her," I said out. The beast roared its sorrow, roared its cry of hurt and pain as he lashed out. Many complied to his wishes, wasting no time in rushing away and darting through the door into the safety of the halls. However, only a few closed their eyes against the fear and took a shivering breath against it. "She's here." He shook the form that laid within his hands, the hair falling delicately away from the still face. "She's not gone. She's right here." The girls hugged each other, lost in the folds of the other's sobs as they cried out a name into their suffering. "Fayette, Fayette, Fayette." And the man bared his teeth, flashing them to reveal fangs, thrashing his hand that did not hold the girl to show claws, glaring to show his golden eyes as his monster rose within, unleashing its control from him. The others stood stunned, unable to process this bleeding man in front of them and the inevitable news that he held. And then he sobbed. Some left the room then. because they could not handle, as they opened the door and clung to their chest, the noise of the dying animal that cried into the room. The noise of the soul that had been ripped and now laid in a scattered array of broken hearts and fragile minds. The queen moved closer to the king, seeking some comfort as she beheld the sight of the lodge, the black wolf, and the tears that fell from his eyes to his beloved's face. She felt tears of her own join his, as they slid down her cheeks, but her misery was nothing. Her pain nothing, nothing compared to his. She wanted to plug her ears to cast away the noise of the whines and whimpers. One man boldly stepped forward, only to be met with a snarl as the wolf stood over the lifeless vessel. He raised his hands. In silent surrender. "Prince August, I have to declare the time of death." The word rang into the room, and that was when the wolf truly lost it. He raised his head, howls echoing and shaking the core of their souls as they felt his pain, as they felt his sorrow. Soon though his body gave out, and the wolf collapsed next to the girl, not moving. Any who came near were met with growls, snarls. The king closed his eyes and shook his head as he silently led his queen out of the room. 2 souls died today, causing a sob to escape the queen's mouth as she quickly stifled it with her hand. Only a handful of people remained. The 2 girls who held each other continued to cry, sobbing their fallen friend's name, as the tears thickened their chests and tightened their faces. And yet the wolf did not move. The doctors stood silently around, waiting for the moment to make the final declaration, until the wolf raised his head. He shifted back into a man, quickly pulling clothing on his body as he frantically got out and raced to stand next to the girl. Was that a heartbeat? The doctors gave each other mournful looks as the man pressed his ear to the girl's chest. "Prince August, no words can express how, silence." The doctor felt his lips shut involuntarily as he and the others watched with sad eyes the frantic actions of the prince in denial. They each shook their head. If only it was. The prince's eyes gleamed as he ushered the doctors forward, allowing them finally to have access. "She's alive." One doctor bravely took the girl's hand, pressing his fingers to her wrist as he said, "I'm so sorry, but..." He paused in his words as his eyes widened. He looked down at the girl. Then his gaze returned to the others. "I need the defibrillators now." Without hesitation, the others moved into action. The man ripped away the clothing from the girl's chest, moving to the other side as he watched with anxious eyes. The sobbing girls stopped, their own eyes watching and wide as the first clear. An pulse of electric shock was sent. Then another. The girl's body jumped with each set until upon the last, her still form moved. Blue eyes started open, air gasped back into lungs. Frantic pumps of blood and heartbeat shoved its way back through its functions. The gasping breath of the girls mingled in with the others as the doctors stood in awe. The girls sat in wonder, and the man sobbed in relief. The blue eyes examined those who watched her, before her head silently turned to the dark man. Something was different. He couldn't put the exact notion upon it, but something was different within her eyes. He realized then that he felt no pulse within his mind. He didn't feel her. He started to panic again as he reached for her face, making sure she was real, making sure she was warm and alive and really with him. His panicked breaths and actions had her blinking twice as she tried to capture her surroundings, tried to take in the distortion of it all, until she registered who it was that held her face, who it was that cried above her. A smile broke out upon her features, one that left the man breathless and in awe. She slowly reached a hand out to cup his own as a single tear escaped her eye. They each stared into the other, silent and crying as the girl echoed the words that had been whispered to her long ago. "There you are. I've been looking for you. Thank you for tuning in." If you enjoyed this episode of the story, please give it a like, And don't forget to subscribe to get notifications for updates.